Hey there, this is your Avon lady, Chris Arnold, and I thought it would be a little bit of fun today to do a little demonstration for you doing half my makeup one way and half my makeup a different way. Promise I'm not going out, so if it looks crazy, it's okay. But I wanted to show you the difference in how my foundation goes on when I'm using a primer versus when I'm using just putting the makeup directly on my bare skin. So I picked our Magix Prime to demonstrate because this one is a mattifying primer that also smooths out the texture of the skin. So it's good. This is where you're going to see really visible results. I will also be using the Tone Up Primer in pink, just because this is part of my concealer technique for under my eyes, because they look kind of, they actually don't look too bad today. So I actually might skip it. But normally my under eye area looks really kind of dull and doesn't blend in well with the rest of my skin. So I use the Tone Up Primer in pink. But now that I'm getting a look at it, I don't know that we're going to need that today. So I think we're going to stick with the Magix Prime. We do also have the Ink Lasting Primer that is also like a mattifying texture smoothing primer as opposed to like a color correcting or an illuminating primer. I kind of like, I like the Magix Prime a little bit better. This one is a gel. This one is more of a powdery cream kind of texture. So it's really a difference, comes down to which one you like the texture of better. I really love Magix Prime. Been using it since it came out and have had amazing results with it. Including at the end of this video, I will tack on a little addition showing how my makeup held up throughout the day, because that's another thing that the primer helps with. So I think we will do primer on the right side, my right. And I just put a little bit on the back of my hand to work with. And see, it's kind of like a white cream, but it blends in, and I just realized I put as much as I would use on my full face. And another great thing about the Magix Prime is, you know, you can use this by itself. You can kind of see how it sort of starts to blur imperfections in the skin. I especially love how it fills in and smooths over my more noticeable pores along like my nose and my chin, and they kind of spread out onto my cheeks. And also some of the, helps fill in some of the deeper lines as well to kind of smooth those out and hide those. So like these deeper lines that I have here. I'll get, and some of the fun lines in my forehead. So you can kind of almost see already how the lines are less noticeable on this side. And I always put a little bit extra just because my under eye area gets very wrinkly, especially when I smile. So I like to kind of smooth that over as much as possible so my concealer and that will go on smoothly. Alright, so I think we're good there. And obviously this takes a little bit longer when I'm talking while I'm doing it than it would were you doing this as part of your regular routine. So it doesn't add a ton of time. I'm just going to go ahead and spread the rest of this down onto my neck just because I like the nice silky feeling. So this is the difference with just the primer without the foundation on yet. You can already see some of the lines and things are less noticeable. Some of the discolorations are a little bit blurred out, so just a little bit softer. It doesn't really completely obscure anything, but just kind of softens them. So I'm going to put a little bit of, well, I'm going to wait and see if I even need concealer today. So for foundation, I'm using our Cashmere Complexion Long Wear Foundation. So this is actually a really good foundation all by itself, so it's not like you know, this side of my face is going to look horrible because I didn't use the primer. It is a great foundation on its own. Has this fun little applicator tip that you can kind of use that you don't actually have to touch the bottle. You can or you don't have to worry about getting it all over your hands if you're going to use like a beauty blender or a foundation brush. You don't have to get any on your hands at all. I'm just using my hands today. I'm not doing anything special application wise. Some advantages to using your fingers over say a beauty blender or a foundation brush, because they're all really good options. Oh, and I always start with the center and kind of work out from there. That's why I kind of stopped. I wanted to blend this first before I put any more on. But the fingers kind of warm up the formula and help it kind of melt into the skin. So hopefully you can see this. I might have my husband help me take like a really nice close-up photo when I'm done. I do a little swipe there. And in some areas, I don't really even, as I'm blending, I blend either in circular motions or I'm more patting in a circular motion to kind of just pat the formula into the skin. I just don't do a full like layer of foundation on my eyelids, but if I have a little excess in that area, I'll spread it over my eyelids just to kind of give them a good base. Alright, actually. And with most things, wherever the applicator touches first, that's where you're going to have the highest concentration of product. So when you go to swipe it on, you want to put it where you want the most coverage. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, so using fingers over the brush or a blender does just allows whatever foundation formula, whether it's a cream or a liquid, just kind of melt into the skin a little bit better, kind of warms it up. Beauty blender or like a makeup sponge applicator, those are great because you can get them wet and then wring them out and then get kind of more of a dewy finish. This is actually a matte finish foundation, so I'm not really going for a dewy finish today, which is another reason for using the Magix Prime, because that gives me a nice nice matte finish. So here's the side with the primer. You can see just a little bit smoother. The lines are not quite as noticeable, but still a great foundation even without it. I always got to make sure that I blend nice and evenly over all of the little dots of pores on my nose. So yeah, it's a subtle difference, but you can really kind of see it here. You can see like these deeper lines are less noticeable than what we have on this side. Blend that in. But so it's a subtle difference, but it does it is a noticeable difference still at the same time. Like I said, I will do a little update at the end of the day. I'll show you how the makeup stayed. You can see if it still looks nice and even at the end of the day. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you again tonight. So here we are in the afternoon, so about 6 or 7 hours later than when I put everything on this morning. And it's a little hard to see on the camera. It looks like this side is just ever so slightly starting to develop a shine, and a little bit more like it's absorbed into the skin on this side, whereas it's still pretty good on this side. The cashmere complexion does wear really well, so I'm not too surprised that I don't see a huge difference in how well it wore. Still seeing, the much less apparent marionette lines on this side. Let's see. Doesn't really, it's like settled a little bit into the lines on this side. It's a pretty, it's a pretty heavy duty line. Also, yeah, has settled into this line that I didn't put any of the primer over this morning. So, so that was my end of the day results as promised. Looks like I've actually even worn off some of my lipstick from what I had on earlier and didn't reapply this afternoon, but that's okay, just hanging out around the house. So anyway, that is my little experiment for you on primer versus no primer. And I would say if you're maybe using a foundation that doesn't wear as well as the Cashmere Complexion Long Wear Foundation does, that you would very likely see more dramatic difference using something like the Magix Prime or one of the other primers before your foundation. So hope you're all having a great day. I'll see you again soon.